This is Story Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain an action, drama, and sci-fi film called Elysian. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. Near the end of the 21st century, Earth suffered from pollution, disease, and overpopulation. To maintain their way of life, the rich fled the planet and inhabited a space station known as Elysium that orbits the Earth. An orphan named Max befriends Frey, who teaches him how to read. She tells him about the robotic servants in Elysium, who ensure that the residents there never get sick. Dreaming of living in Elysium, Max begins stealing to save up for a ticket to the space station. When a nun lectures him about stealing, Max argues that it's unfair that they're not given the same privileges as those in Elysium. The nun accepts that it's the way that life is, but she adds that Max is destined to do something important. Years later, Max works as a laborer in Los Angeles. While in line for the bus, two droid guards corner him for being an ex-felon. When Max refuses to let them check his bag, the guards break his arm and pin him to the ground. After confirming that he's not carrying any contraband, they release him and remind him to report to his parole officer. Later, Max goes to the hospital to have his arm checked. To his surprise, Frey is assigned as his nurse. However, the hospital room gets flooded with patients, so Frey quickly patches him up and leaves. Max follows her and insists on taking her out for dinner. Frey refuses at first, but agrees to have coffee with him sometime. Afterward, Max reports to his automated parole officer. He's frustrated to learn that his parole is extended for 8 months due to his incident at the bus stop. When he tries to explain himself, the automated officer detects aggression and offers him medicine to calm him down. Max declines, accepting that there's no point in arguing. Finally, he arrives at work and gets reprimanded for being late. While preparing to start, Max jokes with his coworkers about their boss, John Carlyle. In his office, Carlyle argues with the board of directors that he's already supervising their factories to maintain the company despite not wanting to be on Earth. Meanwhile, a group smuggles a few people out of Earth. At Elysium, Defense Secretary Jessica Delacourt is notified about the undocumented ships approaching the space station. Despite being warned, the ships continue the journey to Elysium. Therefore, Delacourt orders Kruger to intervene. On Earth, Agent Kruger launches 3 missiles upon receiving the ship's coordinates. The missiles destroy 2 of the ships, killing everyone inside. The last ship evades the missile and lands on Elysium. Delacourt orders her men to arrest everyone on the ship. As the people desperately flee, droid officers arrive to arrest them. One mother carries her disabled daughter into a house and uses its medbay to cure her. The machine reads the fake ID imprinted in the girl's wrist and begins healing her. Soon, the machine completes the process, and the girl is able to walk again. However, the police apprehend the mother and the daughter. Delacourt orders all those arrested to be deported. Later, Max heads home when his neighbor Julio shares his plans to steal weapons tomorrow. Max shakes his head, telling him how to do the job better. He then realizes that Julio is setting him up to join him on the job, so he walks away, insisting that he doesn't want to go back to prison. The next day, Max continues the day normally. However, when he's loading droids for transport, the door jams. His supervisor orders him to go inside and fix it, but Max knows it's dangerous to do so. Still, he's left with no choice but to follow, lest he loses his job. Max squeezes himself inside the container and unjams the door, and as soon as he does, the door closes and the container blasts radiation inside to kill all bacteria in the machines. Max is trapped inside, exposed to the radiation. His coworkers attempt to break him free, but it's too late. While he's unconscious, Max dreams of the time when the nun gave him a locket with the picture of Earth, as seen from Elysium. She tells him never to forget where he came from. Max then wakes up in a room with a medical robot watching him. The droid informs him that he only has 5 days to live due to being exposed to lethal radiation. Carlyle learns of the incident but disregards Max's predicament. The droid gives Max a bottle of Myparol, which will help him function until his death. At Elysium, Delacourt is reprimanded for not handling the illegal ships quietly. President Patel criticizes her use of Agent Kruger, a sleeper agent charged with multiple felonies and diagnosed with severe psychological issues. Delacourt insists that her actions were to protect their habitat, but Patel refuses to hear her explanation. He orders Kruger to be permanently discharged. On Earth, Kruger thrashes his house after receiving his dismissal order. Max limps his way home, catching Julio's attention. He helps him back to his house where Max weeps about how he only has 5 days to live. Refusing to die, Max plans to illegally go into Elysium to be healed. Meanwhile, Frey argues with the doctor who insists that her daughter must be discharged immediately. Frey refuses to leave her daughter at their house while she's working in the hospital, knowing that her seizures could happen at any time. Despite this, she's given no choice but to take her home. Julio helps Max meet with Spider, the leader of the operations that smuggles people into Elysium. Max promises to work for Spider again in exchange for a ticket to Elysium. When Spider refuses him, Max threatens him, not caring about the guns aimed at him since he's dying anyway. Hearing this, Spider offers Max a job in exchange for his ticket. Spider shows them a device that can steal memories. He intends to use it on people from Elysium to steal bank codes and passwords. Spider instructs Max to find a billionaire who's on Earth and download his memories using the device so they can steal his money. Seeing that Max is too weak for the job, Spider presents him with an exosuit that will be installed into his nervous system, making him as strong as the droids. Julio tries to convince Max not to take the risky job, but Max accepts it. He insists on including Julio on the job so that he can also get his ticket. Max decides to use Carlisle as his target. In Elysium, Carlisle meets with Delacourt to renew his company's contract with the Elysium government. While talking in private, Delacourt tells him that their habitat is dying due to inefficient government. To fix this, she wants Carlisle to override the system to place her in power in exchange for her extending his company's contract for another 200 years. Carlisle accepts the deal. Max is given an ID implant that registers him as an Elysium resident. Then, Spider's men implant the exosuit on him. The operation is a success, and Max is able to move with the exosuit. Meanwhile, at the factory, Carlisle creates a program to override Elysium's system. He uploads the program into his brain and encodes it with a security system that would kill him if anyone tries to steal the data. During this, Max prepares for the operation with Julio, Sandro, and Manuel. After finishing the program, Carlisle prepares to head back to Elysium. As soon as Carlisle's shuttle takes off, Max fires an explosive bullet into it. Then, they chase after the shuttle and detonate the bullet. Delacourt is informed that Carlisle is in danger, so she contacts Kruger to rescue him. Kruger demands to be reinstated before accepting the mission, and Delacourt agrees. Carlisle's shuttle finally descends back onto land. Max and his team rush to the scene and prepare for the assault, but Carlisle's security droids fire at them. A droid identifies Max and sends his profile to Delacourt. After destroying a droid, they extract Carlisle from the shuttle, but another droid comes out. Carlisle gets shot in the chest during the fight while the droid grabs Julio. Max tackles the droid to save him and rips the robot's head off. Sandro quickly sets up the device to download Carlisle's memory into Max before he dies. A military plane approaches the site just as the download is nearly done. However, the security program activates and encrypts the data. Sandro decides to abandon the mission, unwilling to be caught. Once the plane gets close, Max experiences a debilitating headache. Kruger, who's on the plane, spots Sandro from afar and shoots him. Sandro shoots the plane back, but the bullets on his back explode, killing him instantly. Julio guides Max back to their vehicle to escape, but Kruger fires a missile into their car, and the explosion causes it to flip. Max survives the crash and crawls out of the vehicle. Kruger's team chases after Manuel while Kruger attacks Max. Julio fires at Kruger to protect Max, but gets stabbed in the stomach. Max unloads his weapon onto Kruger, who activates a shield but is still knocked down. Max checks on Julio, but he's too late. While Kruger is down, Max escapes. Delacourt knows that Max has the code that she needs, so she orders Kruger to apprehend him at all costs without damaging his brain. Max heads to the village, injured but alive. Seeing that the military plane is close by, an old lady helps Max hide under her wagon full of pigs. This allows Max to avoid Kruger's team. Later, one of Kruger's men retrieves a portion of the data that Max stole, giving Kruger an idea why Delacourt needs it so badly. He releases drones to find Max while Delacourt declares Los Angeles as a no-fly zone until he's found. That evening, Max collapses near the hospital. When Frey exits to get the car for her daughter, Max catches her attention. She goes to call the medics, but Max stresses that he can't be seen. With Max unconscious, she takes him to her home and tends to his wounds. In the morning, Max regains consciousness and explains to Frey how he had to take a job from Spider to get cured in Elysium. He's stunned to meet her daughter, Matilda, unaware that Frey had a child. Not wanting to endanger them, Max gets up to leave, but Frey stops him. She explains that Matilda has leukemia, so she asks him to get Matilda into Elysium to cure her. When Max refuses, Frey points at his fake ID, but he insists that it's locked into his DNA, so Matilda can't use it. Instead, he must leave to spare them from the people looking for him. As soon as he steps out, a drone identifies Max, so he hides behind a car. The drone still follows him, so he throws a side mirror at it before running. Meanwhile, Frey hears a commotion outside their house. Suddenly, Kruger and his men break inside and interrogate Frey on where Max is headed, but she insists that she doesn't know. Kruger doesn't buy it, so he takes the two into the plane. Meanwhile, Max confronts Spider, stressing that he did the job so he should be sent to Elysium. Spider argues that all flight systems have been jammed, leading him to believe that Max got something important from Carlisle. Spider insists on downloading the data from Max's brain. deducing that it'll be the key to opening the sky for flight again. When Spider downloads the data, he recognizes that the program could override the Elysium system. This will enable them to open the borders and turn everyone on Earth into a citizen of Elysium. However, it will take Spider's men 5 days to hack into the system from Earth. Spider insists on using the program to save everyone, but Max doesn't have enough time to wait and wants to use the program as leverage for himself. Before Max leaves, Spider hides a small device on his back. Max picks up the drone he destroyed earlier, alerting Kruger's team of his location. Max waits for the plane to descend, then unpins a grenade. He warns Kruger that he'll blow off his own head if they don't do what he says. Max offers to give up the program in exchange for being treated in Elysium. Kruger happily agrees, much to Max's surprise. Kruger invites him inside the plane, and Max cautiously follows. He finds Frey and Matilda inside, and Frey eyes him angrily. Learning that Kruger has Max, Delacourt enables flights in the city to transport Max. Spider locates Max via the tracking device he placed on his back. He orders his team to pursue Max into Elysium. Soon, Kruger's plane nears Elysium. When a soldier distracts Max, Kruger attacks him to pry the grenade from his hands. During the scuttle, Max drops the grenade accidentally, and the explosion destroys Kruger's face. The plane crashes into a residential area, and Delacourt orders Homeland Security to apprehend everyone on that plane. When President Patel learns of the incident, Delacourt spins the story that the plane is an unauthorized ship that infiltrated Elysium. She declares that the incident is an act of war, therefore puts her in command. Meanwhile, Max opens the plane and helps Frey and Matilda escape just before a soldier attacks him. Frey takes her daughter into a nearby mansion and puts Matilda into the medbay. However, Matilda doesn't have an Elysium ID. A soldier follows them inside, and Frey begs him to help her, but he tases her. Max is also defeated and tased. Max wakes up, strapped to a gurney. The doctors warn Delacourt that it will kill Max if they forcefully extract the data. She orders them to proceed anyway, then orders Kruger's men to deport Frey and Matilda. Soon, Spider's shuttle arrives in Elysium uninterrupted. Kruger's men take Frey and Matilda into a storage room. The men use a medbay to reconstruct Kruger's face, which succeeds in seconds. As soon as he wakes up, Kruger demands to know where Max is, while the doctors are prepping. Max breaks out from the gurney and beats up the men. He takes one of the doctor's IDs and proceeds to search for Frey and Matilda. In the armory, Delacourt berates Kruger for crashing their plane into a residential area. Her yelling drives Kruger to the edge, and he punches a mirror in anger. Delacourt continues to yell at him, so he smiles and stabs her in the throat. He then throws her into the storage room where Frey is. Kruger orders his men to prepare to find Max and take the programming from his head to put Kruger in power. Kruger's men start throwing grenades in the building, attacking the government officials. Frey attempts to patch up Delacourt, however she refuses to be healed and passes away seconds later. Meanwhile, Max comes across the security room and spots Spider from the cameras. He radios Spider, confirming that he can use the programming to make everyone from Earth an Elysium citizen. Then, Max drinks the rest of his Myparol in preparation. He reaches the armory and fights the soldier guarding Frey and Matilda. Using the exosuit's strength, he easily defeats the man, but the other soldier enters and fires at him. Max retrieves a gun from the armory and fires back, defeating him. Max arms himself as he leads Frey and Matilda out of the armory. He leads them into an elevator and gives Frey the doctor's ID. He instructs her to head to the surface and find a medbay for Matilda, while he fixes the system with Spider. Soon, Spider meets up with Max, and they head to Elysium's central computer. However, Kruger, who's now wearing an exosuit, catches up and kills one of Spider's men. Max shoots at Kruger before leading Spider inside. As Kruger forces a door open to follow them, Max gets a headache that brings him to his knees. Kruger then leaps over and attacks Max. Spider tackles Kruger, making him drop his sword. Kruger stabs Spider's hand to force him down, while he and Max continue the fight. Spider forces the dagger out of his hand, then hacks the door to the main computer. Kruger continues to attack Max until he's knocked down. Max leaps over Kruger's head and detaches the exosuit from his spine. Before landing the final blow, Kruger attaches a lock into Max's exosuit and triggers a bomb. Max forces the lock off, destroying his exosuit before tossing Kruger over the bridge, where he explodes. Finally, Spider carries Max to the main computer and connects him. At the same time, Frey reaches a mansion and quickly puts Matilda into a medbay. Spider inputs the code to allow all residents of Earth into Elysium, but launching the code will trigger a lethal program that will kill Max. Spider hesitates, but Max accepts his fate. With Patel and his officers nearing the door, Max calls Frey to say goodbye. He then stares at Earth, comparing it to the picture in the locket before triggering the code, instantly killing himself. Just as the officers arrest Spider, Elysium's system reboots. When the system switches back on, the medbay recognizes Matilda as a resident and proceeds to heal her. Matilda wakes up, and Frey tearfully embraces her daughter. The droid officers recognize Spider as a citizen, thus protecting him from the arrest. The system locates numerous citizens on Earth that require medical attention, so automated shuttles are launched to deliver medbays to heal them.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.